Hello everyone, welcome all of you for the Gazette discussion of 19 July 2021. So before we start the discussion for the Gazette, you need to know that the Gazette video is divided in two parts. One covers the featured news and the other part covers the rest of the news of the Gazette. So before starting the particular news, let us look at the table of content. So first of all, we have covered the featured news. Today's featured news is regarding COVID-19 pandemic and the livelihood loss that has happened because of that. We'll be covering that in the next video. Then we have this day in history that is important with respect to Mangal Pandey, as he was born on 19 July in 19th century. So Mangal Pandey and some facts about him, we'll be covering that. Then we have some news snapshots regarding the midday meal scheme and how has it left a long-lasting impact on the health of the children, and how has it had an intergenerational impact as well. Now we'll be covering that. It was a recent study done by the University of Washington and some other organizations. Combined these research, we got to know that midday meals had very strong linkages with lower stunting of the children. So we'll be seeing that. Then we have some important news regarding initiatives of building energy efficiency. Now we know that building these buildings and residential housing are going to be the biggest sector for the consumption of energy, even surpassing the industrial sector. So it is going to be a biggest consumer of these the energy. So we need to make this sector more energy efficient to have a sustainable habitat. Then there is image of the day regarding German floods. There were some floods because of heavy rains, because of which the rivers got swelled up, and there were heavy floods, and that actually was the worst crisis in Germany over a century. So we'll be seeing that. Then we have terms and concepts regarding UMANG App and Kisan Sarathi recently in news, giving our farmers right information at the right place and the right time. Then we have China's emission trading system, the world's largest emission trading market, in which the Chinese government will give some permits to these companies, and those permits can be traded in the market. So we'll be seeing that. Then we have USIBC event, which was recently held, and our finance minister took part in it. So we'll be covering that. Then we have some three important editorials of the day. One is covered in the Hindu regarding the calculations of the benefits of the lockdown. So we'll be seeing what was the impact of lockdown, the COVID-19 lockdown. We'll be seeing that. Then we have some important news regarding the Ministry of Cooperation and what it needs to achieve, because we have seen the cooperative movement before independence and after independence, and then the cooperative movement got heavily disturbed by the LPG reforms. So we'll be seeing that what were the problems of cooperation and cooperative movement, and what the Ministry of Cooperation needs to do. Then we have these population policies that were recently in news in UP and Assam and Rajasthan. And these population policies, they must need public support. They need people's support to get implemented in the first place. So this was the news covered in Hindustan Times. We'll be seeing that. Then we have some case study regarding Sheri Shikshan initiative, in which there are some innovative ways of teaching and how it has led to increased attendance of the students. So we'll be seeing that. So let's begin with this day in history. So this day in history is actually dedicated to Mangal Pandey, who was born in UP in a village called Nagwa. He was born in 1827. So Mangal Pandey, being born in UP, he actually joined the army of the British East India Company in 1849. So after joining the British East India Company in the 34th Bengal Native Infantry, he later on revolted against the British East India Company, precisely in the Bengal Native Infantry 34th. So why did he revolt? Because they introduced some bullet cartridges in their new Enfield P53 rifle, which was actually considered to be made from the fat of the cows and swines. So it was actually very offensive for these particular people. So therefore Mangal Pandey revolted against that, and his action became the first major incident of what later came to be known as the Sepoy Mutiny, or the First War of Independence. So because he had a huge impact in the 1857 First War of Independence, therefore a commemorative postage stamp with his image in place was issued by the Indian government in 1984, for his remembrance and commemoration. So that was Mangal Pandey, born in 19 July 1827. Then we have midday meal scheme. Now you see, guys, there was an important study by University of Washington along with International Food Policy Research Institute, and both of them attempted to make an intergenerational analysis of the impact of the midday meal scheme. Now, what do we mean by that? Now, midday meal scheme covered a lot of students, covered a lot of people, covered a lot of children, in which it had, the hot cooked meal was given up to the upper primary level. So we'll be seeing that, when we understand the midday meal scheme. So before we do that, you need to know what was the news. Now, this important study that was done by the University of Washington along with International Food Policy Research Institute, it attempted to make an intergenerational analysis. Now, what is that intergenerational analysis? It actually took the data from 1993 to 2016 and took the data from mothers that were covered under midday meal scheme, and later on they had the children, and we needed to see that what impact did the midday meals had on the what impact was of the midday meals on the health of the children of these girls that were covered under midday meal scheme. Now this had a positive impact on the children, on the health of the children of the girls that were covered under midday meals. So we'll be seeing that what was the important key findings of the report. Now see, guys, the first important key finding is the research used data on mothers and their children spanning from 1993 to 2016. Why? To assess whether midday meals supports intergenerational improvements in child's linear growth. That means अगर आपकी माँ को आपने अगर किसी लड़की को हमने कवर किया है मिड डे मील्स में और उसको हमने न्यूट्रिशन प्रोवाइड किया है, लेटर ऑन जब वो लड़की की शादी हो जाती है और उसका बच्चा पैदा होता है, उस बच्चे की हेल्थ पर कैसा असर पड़ा है माँ को जो हमने मिड डे मील्स दिए थे, उसको जो हमने न्यूट्रिशनल सपोर्ट दिया था. एंड वी केम टू नो that they had an important and strong linkages. That is, midday meals given to the girls had an important linkage with the health of the children of those girls. Fine. तो हमने ये देखा कि उनके जो बच्चे पैदा हुए उनकी linear growth अच्छी थी, उनमें stunting काफी कम थी compared to other girls that were not covered under midday meals. We saw that these girls that were covered under midday meals, their children were better, they had better height to age ratio. Fine, there was lower stunting and there was strong connection. There was strong connection between the midday meals given to the mother and later on the health of the children. So this was an important finding of this report. Now, what is the significance of these findings? Now, these findings are important given the high prevalence of stunting in India. In India, we have a high prevalence of stunting. According to National Family Health Survey 4, 38% of the children were stunted in India in the year 2016. यानी पूरे बच्चों में से 38% आपके इंडिया में stunted growth थी उनकी, यानी they were not able to grow and develop to their original potential. Now this linear growth failure जो हुआ है इंडिया में, जो आपके बच्चे पूरी तरीके से grow नहीं हो पाते हैं, that is actually a marker. वो असल में इस चीज को दिखाता है that in India we have chronic undernutrition. इंडिया के अंदर हमारे बच्चों को पूरी तरीके से न्यूट्रिशन नहीं मिलता है. There is a chronic undernutrition problem in India, जिसकी वजह से our children are not reaching their developmental potential. They are not reaching their original developmental potential. Now, this stunting has a huge impact on the human capital of India. Fine. Then the fight against stunting has often focused on boosting the nutrition. अगर आपको stunting से लड़ना है तो आपको nutrition को boost करना पड़ेगा, आपको maternal health को boost करना पड़ेगा, तब जाके you can reduce stunting in children. आपको माँ की health का ख्याल रखना है, तब जाके उसके बच्चे को अच्छा न्यूट्रिशन मिलेगा, क्योंकि जब माँ की हेल्थ अच्छी होगी, मैटरनल हेल्थ अच्छी होगी, साथ में आपको बच्चे को भी न्यूट्रिशन प्रोवाइड करना है. So that will give the children a high height to age ratio. Now after that, to boost this particular initiative, we need to focus more on the girls. Why? Because जो लड़कियां हैं, they actually as soon as they finish school in these particular areas, then they get married and have children in just a few years. So अगर आपने बच्चे को these girls, अगर आपने इन बच्चों को जल्दी ही स्कूल में ही you intervened and gave some nutritional support to these children, to these girls, then their children can have a better height to age ratio. Now that will help the health of the children. Now what are the other impacts of midday meal schemes? Midday meal scheme का एक और बहुत important impact है, according to the study conducted by IIM Calcutta in 2019. उन्होंने ये कहा कि मिड डे मील स्कीम की वजह से लर्निंग आउटकम भी अच्छा हुआ है. यानी जब से हमने बच्चों को हॉट कुक्ड मील देना शुरू किया उनके स्कूल में ही, उसकी वजह से बच्चों की जो रीडिंग टेस्ट है, मैथमेटिकल टेस्ट है, उन्होंने उसमें बेहतर परफॉर्म किया है. देयर वाज अ सिग्निफिकेंट इंप्रूवमेंट इन दीज टेस्ट्स ऑफ द चिल्ड्रन इन देयर रीडिंग एंड मैथमेटिकल टेस्ट्स. फाइन. So that was other impact of midday meal. Now let's see what the midday meal scheme is. It was actually launched in 1995 by the government of India. अब 1995 में लॉन्च करने के बाद इन्होंने कहां पर इसको लॉन्च किया? गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स एंड गवर्नमेंट असिस्टेड प्राइमरी स्कूल्स. अब आपको पता होनी चाहिए कि स्कीम में हमने किन किन बच्चों को कवर किया है. स्कीम में हमने ये कहा कि जो प्राइमरी लेवल तक के बच्चे हैं, प्राइमरी लेवल तक के बच्चों को हम स्कूल में ही 450 कैलोरीज एंड 12 grams of protein देंगे to every child at primary level, and 700 calories and 20 grams of protein to upper primary level. Now you need to know the division of the the school system in India. आपको थोड़ा आइडिया होना चाहिए कि स्कूल सिस्टम जो हमारे इंडिया में है, that is divided into 4 important parts. Number 1 is the lower primary. लोअर प्राइमरी में आपकी 5 स्टैंडर्ड्स आती है, क्लास 1 to class 5. देन यू हैव अपर प्राइमरी, जिसमें आपकी 2 स्टैंडर्ड्स आते हैं, 6th and 7th. देन यू हैव हाई डिवीजन, दैट इज योर 3 स्टैंडर्ड्स, 8th, 9th, 10th. एंड देन यू हैव हायर सेकेंडरी, जिसमें आपका 11th and 12th इंटरमीडिएट आता है. नाउ मिड डे मील स्कीम में आपने इन 2 को कवर किया था, लोअर एंड अपर प्राइमरी को, जिसमें आपने कहा कि लोअर प्राइमरी को विल बी गिविंग 450 कैलोरीज along with 12 grams of protein in the school. और यहां पर आपने कहा 700 कैलोरीज along with 20 grams of protein हम इन बच्चों को देंगे. फाइन. सो these were the students, the children that were covered under midday meal scheme. What was the impact? Objective क्या था जब आपने ये स्कीम लॉन्च की थी 1995 में? The objective was to enhance enrollment because बच्चों को, because most of the children that are studying in these schools, government assisted schools और government schools, खासकर रूरल एरिया में वो स्कूल नहीं जाते थे, तो हमने स्कूल में एनरोलमेंट बढ़ाने के लिए वी स्टार्टेड विद दिस स्कीम. तो हमें लगा कि बच्चों को अगर खाना दिया जाएगा तो they will come to the school, it will increase the students enrollment and it will actually also retain our students. वो स्कूल से जो है ड्रॉप आउट नहीं करेंगे, अटेंडेंस बढ़ेगी. फाइन. तो ये सब करने के लिए we actually started this scheme and even to improve the nutritional levels of the schools, fine, of these students studying in the schools. Now they covered the students up to 8th grade, and then they not only covered these important schools, they also covered some special training centers. madrasas को भी उन्होंने टारगेट किया और मकतब्स को भी टारगेट किया, that was supported by सर्व शिक्षा अभियान. Now मकतब्स are for lower education and madrasas are for higher education, और आपने उनको भी टारगेट किया और उनको भी यहाँ पर लाया, वहां पर भी बच्चों को मिड डे मील स्कीम के अंदर लाया गया. This scheme was launched under Ministry of Education. Now what is the conclusion? Conclusion is a recent UN report presented evidence on the potential short and long-term negative effects of disruption to school meal schemes. यानी ग्लोबली जहां पर जिस कंट्री में स्कूल मील्स देते थे, स्कूल में ही खाना देते थे बच्चों को, सो बिकॉज ऑफ कोविड-19 अब आपका स्कूल में योर नॉर्मल प्रोसेसिंग गॉट डिसरप्टेड ग्लोबली, जिसकी वजह से स्कूल में जो मील्स मिलते थे वो भी नहीं बच्चों को मिलेंगे. इट विल हैव एन इम्पैक्ट ऑन द हेल्थ ऑफ द चिल्ड्रन, precisely the girl children. Fine. अब girl children, these are the children that face more discrimination at home. Fine. And they are more likely to drop out of the school. So therefore we need to focus more on them. We need to bring back this important initiative to actually expand and improve the school meals and have an intergenerational payoff. Now these girl childs, when we focus on them, later on their children will give us their children will have better health, and that will give us an intergenerational payoff. So this was an important study by the University of Washington. Now, new snapshot 2, aiming for sustainable habitat, new initiatives in building energy efficiency. Now, this important initiative was launched by Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Now, before we see at the initiative, let's cover what the Bureau of Energy Efficiency is. Now, Bureau of Energy Efficiency is a government agency under Ministry of Power. It is a government agency under Ministry of Power. Now, it was created in 2002 under the provisions of Energy Conservation Act 2001. So we had this act in place, Energy Conservation Act of 2001. According to this act, to implement the provisions of the act, we had to create this Bureau of Energy Efficiency in 2002. And what is the work? What is the objective of this bureau? That is to develop programs for conservation efficient use of energy. Now, India, because it wants to conserve energy, it wants to actually conserve, the energy. And for example, if you have bulb in place, from 15 to 20 years from now, जब आप देखते थे आपके पास कोई बल्ब था, it used to take 100 watts और उसका इनपुट जो आपको लाइट मिलती थी. आज आपके पास बिल्कुल वैसा ही इनपुट आपको मिलता है, और लेकिन वो बल्ब सिर्फ 9 watts का जो है एनर्जी इनपुट होता है उसका. तो हम क्या चाहते हैं, एनर्जी इनपुट कम हो जाए और आउटपुट आपका वैसा का वैसा रहे, यानी आपकी क्वालिटी पे, आपके आउटपुट पे कोई फर्क ना पड़े, बट इनपुट आपका कम हो, एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी हो, यानी कम एनर्जी में आप आउटपुट अच्छा दे सके. उसके लिए वी हैव दिस ब्यूरो ऑफ एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी, जिनके पास ये रेटिंग सिस्टम भी है, जो रेट करते हैं अप्लायंसेस को, एनर्जी एफिशिएंट सिस्टम्स को. जहां पर 5 रेटिंग जब दी जाएगी, दैट वुड मीन कि ये काफी एनर्जी एफिशिएंट है. 4 रेटिंग का मतलब कम एनर्जी एफिशिएंट है, 1 का मतलब बहुत ही कम एफिशिएंट है. सो जितने ज्यादा आपके पास स्टार्स होंगे, द मोर एनर्जी यू विल सेव. सो दिस इज द एनर्जी रेटिंग सिस्टम ऑफ ब्यूरो ऑफ एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी. नाउ let's see what the news is. The power minister announced various initiatives for the building sector. अब recently power minister ने अब आपका ये ब्यूरो ऑफ एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी से ये लॉन्च किया ये सिस्टम बहुत सारे इनिशिएटिव्स के साथ, जिसमें हमने बिल्डिंग्स को, रेजिडेंशियल हाउसिंग को ज्यादा एफिशिएंट बनाने की बात की. नाउ व्हाई डू वी वांट टू मेक दिस बिल्डिंग सेक्टर मोर एफिशिएंट? बिकॉज वी आर एक्सपेक्टिंग that it is going to be the largest consumer of energy by 2020, even surpassing the industrial sector. Fine. So therefore, energy efficiency levels in residential buildings need to be enhanced for sustainable habitation. Now, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, I told you, comes under Ministry of Power, and it coordinates with these consumers and agencies and other organizations to identify and utilize the existing resources and infrastructure. Now, an energy efficiency building creates comfortable living conditions with least possible amount of energy consumption. तो आप energy input आपका जो है बहुत ही कम होगा, लेकिन फिर भी आप you'll have comfortable living conditions in your buildings, fine, and in your residential housings. So that is an important news. And what are the various initiatives for building energy efficiency 2021? कौन-कौन से initiatives आपके पास है? Now this is very important. Number 1, Eco-Nivus संहिता 2021. अब Eco-Nivus संहिता 2018 में पार्ट 1 आया था, ये उसका 2021 का वर्जन है. अब इसमें आपके पास क्या है? यू हैव अ मॉडल कोड एंड वेरिफिकेशन फ्रेमवर्क, यानी आपने एक ऐसा कोड बनाया है, एक ऐसा फ्रेमवर्क बनाया है जिसकी वजह से you'll have to actually measure, and you'll have to actually you'll have a process in place जिसकी वजह से आपके पास मिनिमम एनर्जी परफॉर्मेंस को परफॉर्मेंस रिक्वायरमेंट्स जो बिल्डिंग्स में है, जहां पर वो देखा जाएगा कि कैसे बिल्डिंग्स मिनिमम एनर्जी पे परफॉर्म कर रही है, क्या उनके पास एक कोड होना चाहिए, किस तरीके से उनका फ्रेमवर्क होना चाहिए, जिसकी वजह से दे विल बी एक्चुअली रिक्वायरिंग लेस एनर्जी with maximum output. Fine. So this important Eco-Nivus Samhita becomes very important. Why? Because there is a plan to actually amend Energy Conservation Act of 2001, and when we will amend that and we want to actually apply this Energy Conservation Act 2001 to residential sector as well. And for application of this Energy Conservation Act to residential sector, we need to amend this act, and for amendment you need to have a process in place, और वो process आपका इको निवेश संहिता दे सकता है. जब amendment हो जाएगी, this eco निवेश संहिता, this model code, this verification framework will be very handy, will come very handy when we make this amendment लीगली मैंडेटरी. सो ये आपका इको निवेश संहिता है 2021 का. उसके बाद ट्रेनिंग, यानी ब्यूरो ऑफ एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी ऑल्सो ट्रेनिंग प्रोवाइड करेगा किसको? 15,000 आर्किटेक्ट्स एंड इंजीनियर्स एंड गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल्स ऑन व्हाट? ट्रेनिंग किसमें? एनर्जी कंजर्वेशन बिल्डिंग कोड, ECBC, यानी यू हैव एन एनर्जी कंजर्वेशन बिल्डिंग कोड एज वेल, यानी आपकी बिल्डिंग्स किस तरीके से होनी चाहिए. इको निवेश संहिता ENS 2021, इस कोड में, इस फ्रेमवर्क में आर्किटेक्ट्स को, इंजीनियर्स को, गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल्स को ट्रेन करने के लिए यू हैव दिस प्रोसेस इन प्लेस कि आपने एक इनिशिएटिव लॉन्च किया ब्यूरो ऑफ एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी ने, जिसमें 15,000 आर्किटेक्ट्स एंड इंजीनियर्स एंड गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल्स विल बी ट्रेन्ड अकॉर्डिंग टू दीज कोड्स कि कैसे यू विल हैव टू प्लान योर बिल्डिंग्स, कहां से उसमें डे लाइट को सबसे ज्यादा मैक्सिमम तरीके से इस्तेमाल किया जाए, वहां पे कैसे ventilation होनी चाहिए, how the lightings can be efficiently used, how the energy can be efficiently used, how you'll have this online star rating tool जिसमें you'll actually analyze the performance of these appliances and then you can make a conscious choice कि आपके लिए कौन से best options है to make your houses energy efficient. Fine. So these are some important initiatives. Then you have handbook of replicable designs for energy efficient residential buildings. Let me show you that handbook. This is the handbook that was recently launched and इसमें आपके पास already designs उन्होंने बनाए हुए हैं for energy efficiency. आपके पास अगर ऐसे designs है, you can replicate these designs for making to make your homes more energy efficient. Now these are the design. This is the handbook that was launched, and it gives the designs for residential buildings. With using them they can actually make it more energy efficient. Now this is a web-based platform in which you can go and learn these tools and create a pool of ready to use resources for replicable designs. Then we have Nirman Awards. Now Nirman means National Energy Efficiency Roadmap for movement towards affordable and natural habitat. Now Nirman was announced with the goal of encouraging exceptionally efficient building designs. Now those people that come up with exceptionally brilliant and efficient building designs, those people will be awarded under this Nirman Awards system. Then we have online directory of building materials. We need to have a process of establishing standards for energy efficient building materials. Now this is a directory that envisages that. Now this is an important news regarding that. Now we have this image of the day regarding German floods. I already told you this image is of massive landslide that was recently seen in northern Germany. It has actually happened because of unprecedented rainfall and it is considered the worst such event that the country has witnessed in nearly a century. Why has it happened? Because of severe storms, continuous rains, because of which the streams and rivers, they swelled up and they flooded the town and the cities. And this has happened when European Union made the announcement to reduce 55% of its greenhouse gas emissions. So this is a clear-cut linkage how the climate change has actually impacted our climatic and weather conditions. Now European Union making this announcement to reduce 55% of the greenhouse gas emissions in that particular week we have witnessed this great flood in Germany. Now terms and concepts regarding UMANG App. Now UMANG App was recently launched by Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology with Map My India. Map My India is a company that actually creates these maps and online platforms regarding that. Now this MIT and Map My India has inked an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, to enable map services in UMANG App. Now what is an UMANG App? UMANG means Unified Mobile Application for New Age Governance. New Age Governance मतलब क्या है इसका? UMANG App आपका किस लिए है? It is actually for citizens to make them able to find government facilities nearest to their location. यानी जब आप उमंग ऐप खोलेंगे, आपको पता नहीं आपको किसी मंडी के पास जाना है, and you don't know where the mandi is located. आपको ब्लड बैंक के पास जाना है, you don't know where the blood bank is located. Now you have to take this UMANG app, और UMANG app आपको बताएगी कि कहां पर गवर्नमेंट फैसिलिटीज है आपके नजदीक, and it will give you navigation as well. Voice navigation मिलेगी आपको, visual guidance मिलेगी. You'll also get the guidance regarding traffic and road safety alerts. Fine. Now these important services will be provided by the UMANG app, and it is actually a multi-platform, multilingual and multi-service mobile application, and it provides high impact services to the citizens of the country. Now it will also be seamlessly integrated with Aadhaar as well as DigiLocker, जहां पर आप अपने documents डालते हो, and Pay Government, जो आपका PayGov online platform है, जहां पर आप payments करते हैं, wherein the citizens can pay to the government for the services that they are actually taking from the government. तो PayGov है, DigiLocker है, Aadhaar है, it will be seamlessly integrated with all of these platforms, the UMANG app. Then we have Kisan Sarathi. Now Kisan Sarathi is a digital platform. Why? It is jointly launched by two union ministers. One is for agriculture and farmers welfare, and the other was for electronics and information technology. Now what is this digital platform about? It is to facilitate the farmers to get right information at the right time in the desired language. That means if the farmer needs some information regarding how it has to how it has to do the stuff, the farming, and how much agriculture, how much fertilizer should be used, what amount of fertilizer, and all these important and technical information can be taken by important and specialists in the Krishi Vigyan Kendras. Now you have to set up a Kisan Sarathi account. You need to go, you need to give the required information. Your profile will be made, and whenever you have a question, you can call on the toll-free number, and they will give you the desired information at the right time in your desired language. Fine. So that is an important system of Kisan Sarathi. It has very well used the respective scientists from Krishi Vigyan Kendra to actually make this farmers interact more with these personal advisories and specialists. And now these Krishi Vigyan Kendras, they are actually the ultimate link between Indian Council of Agricultural Research and the farmers. So this is an important step regarding that as well. Then we have China's emission trading system. It is the largest emission trading system in the world, in the entire world, in which the system is like this, that the government will give, let me show you here. In this particular system, the government is going to give some permits, in which the government has limited the amount of emissions that a particular sector, particular industry can do. Fine. Now this permit in which the limits are set. Now these permits will be taken up by these industries, and the industries will be of two types. One industry is that who has actually used very cost efficient systems and reduce the carbon emissions. For example, if an industry has been given a permit of 100 tons of carbon emissions, now the industry has only the particular firm has only emitted, say for example, 50 tons. Now the remaining 50 tons are actually the bonus for this industry, and it can actually trade this 50 tons with another polluter, another firm that is polluting more, and it needs some more emissions. Now because of that, this particular company that has this permit in place of 50 tons, it can trade this 50 tons of permit with the other person and earn some income as well. Now that is the emission trading system of China. You can see in here in which this particular firm in here has a lot of emission. Now cap is only this, but it is emitting more. Now if it is emitting more, it will have to pay a lot of fines, and it will have to go through a lot of governmental stuff. Now this is another firm in here that has not emitted a lot of carbon emissions, and the cap is quite high, but the emissions are quite low. Now it can use this unused allowance, and it can give this permit to this another industry in place of money. Now it can sell this particular permit, and this is the emission trading scheme of China. Then you have USIBC, United States India Business Council. Now the finance ministry addresses USIBC roundtable organized on maximizing India's sustainable and inclusive growth as global destination for US investment. Now, what is this USIBC? USIBC was formed in 1975. Why? As a business advocacy organization. Now, it will actually enlighten and encourage the private sector of both US and India to enhance the investment flows. It will, it will make business more easier, more efficient, more profitable, and have a process in place, have a system in place by which private sectors of both India and China can increase the India and US can increase the investment flows in each other's country. Now, for that particular purpose, you have USIBC in place, and recently, Finance Minister made an address in the roundtable organized by this particular organization, USIBC, and the particular event was the theme of the event was maximizing India's sustainable and inclusive growth as global destination for US investment. Now, it will actually, we want to increase the US investment in India, and for that, India needs to have a sustainable and inclusive growth. Now, that was a particular theme. Then we have editorials of the day. Number one is the calculating the benefits of the lockdown. Now, see guys, we know that 26.2% of the world's population as of now has received at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. 26%. Now, of these 26%, only 1% live in low-income countries. Now, this is a big inequality in the administration of vaccines. Now, how we eliminate this big inequality in the administration of vaccines is actually shrouded in mystery. We don't know. There is a huge and stark inequality in the administration of vaccines. 26% of the world population has received at least one dose. Of that 26%, only 1% live in low-income countries. Now, we have seen also the impact of lockdown in India. Now, the impact of lockdown, it actually creates a trilemma between life, livelihood, and quality of life. If you don't actually impart lockdown, it will hamper the health system in India. It will create health problems. Health infrastructure can collapse. So lockdowns is necessary to save lives, but it also impacts livelihood. And it also impacts the quality of life, because every person being locked down, it deteriorates the quality of life. Now, creates this trilemma, and also there is a social and economic cost of lockdown as well. And first of all, it impacts the human life positively, and it creates the social distancing norms and lockdowns by which the health sector gets some breathing place in which it can increase the in which the country can increase the health capacity and efficiently do away with this pandemic. But on the one hand, it is impacting on the human life. On the other hand, it is having an economic cost as well. Right? We have seen how lockdown has plunged a lot of countries into recession as well. Now, this particular article deals with this question in great detail. So this is a must read. You should read this article, and it also touches how the inequality in the administration of vaccines should be bridged. Now, that is an important article for covered in the Hindu. Then we have the new Ministry of Cooperation, that what it needs to achieve. Now, see guys, after the cooperative movement started in Britain, wherein the Rochdale pioneers started this particular Rochdale principles, and they started this cooperative movement from England, and it actually spread to Germany and Scotland and even reached India. But the Indian cooperative movement was particularly different from what we have seen in the West. In the West, we saw that the people came together and started the cooperatives. But in India, we saw that it was a conscious policy of the state to create cooperative societies to have an impact at the grassroots level. Now, in India, the cooperative movement started pre-independence, in which we have the pre-independence acts as well, like Multi-Unit Cooperative Society Act, and Multi-State Cooperative Society Act of 1942 as well. So before independence, we have a lot of cooperative acts and cooperative societies in place, and it was a huge cooperative movement, got a huge, it expanded hugely after independence as well. But after the LPG reforms, when the private sector came in, these cooperatives were heavily, impacted because of this privatization, LPG. Now, this important article regarding this Ministry of Cooperation. Now we know we have a Ministry of Cooperation, and India is the first country to do so, to have a Ministry of Cooperation in place. Now there were important lacunas in the cooperative movement. Now first of all, we have different milk subsidies, for example. Now say for example in Karnataka, the Karnataka Milk Federation gets a milk subsidy, because of which it actually dumps low cost milk into the neighboring Maharashtra, because of which the Maharashtrian farmers are actually have to live with these less prices, and it actually has led to a lot of farmer suicides as well. Now that is an important part because of the differential milk subsidies being given. Now this creates a dispute. Now if Maharashtra and Karnataka was a different country, no, Maharashtra will be trying Karnataka at WTO, but since they are the neighboring states, so therefore there is no process in place. A Ministry of Cooperation can actually achieve a lot of things in this particular dispute settlement mechanism. Also, these cooperative credit societies, they need a lot of technology upgradation, because we have seen how they have failed, how the credit that is in India being given, how the cooperative banks have actually a meager part of the total credit system in India, meager share in the total credit system in India, because they need some technology upgradation. And we have to keep the NPAs have to keep the non-performing assets have to be low in these particular credit societies, and also we have to curb these fraudulent deals by these cooperative boards, that these fraudulent deals made by them. All these mechanisms, all these disputes have to be settled by Ministry of Cooperation, that can achieve a lot of efficiency in these cooperatives. So this is an important article regarding that. Now this important article will give you a background regarding how the structural adjustment reforms of 1990s, the LPG reforms, impacted the cooperative sector, how the milk cooperative sector and its present comparison with private dairy industry, how the cooperatives and private dairy industry can be seen side by side. Also the differential interstate milk subsidy, another problem, and also the failure of the cooperatives in finance as well as in sugar industry. So this is an important article regarding the cooperative movement, so you should read this. Then we have people's support must for policies. Now we know that barring a few states, there is a particular study by Population Foundation of India. Now Population Foundation of India came up with this study in which it told that fertility rate in the entire India, except few states, is actually falling. Now if the fertility rate is falling except few states, say for example UP, Bihar and Rajasthan, Orissa, these are some states wherein the fertility rate is increasing. Compared to other states, the fertility rate is actually decreasing. Now these states, for example UP, came up with this population control measure, because it is believed that India, with the present rate of fertility, will actually become by the end of the century the most populous country in the entire world, followed by Nigeria, then China, then United States, and then Pakistan at the 5th place. Now to actually have this a process in place and a population control policy, UP came up with a particular population control policy, and that population control policy is actually seen as a coercive measure to control population. Fine. Now we should actually take into account a lot of other people's needs as well. For example, if you take focus more on health, more on nutrition, more on education, more on economic policies, the population will take care of itself. Now it is said that if there is one more person in the world, it was actually considered that it is one more mouth to feed. But with this one more person in the world, we have two more hands to work as well. Fine. Therefore, if there is a population, we have to have in place more health, nutrition, education, and good economic policies. Then the population will take care of itself. Even Elon Musk, one of the richest persons in the world, the CEO of SpaceX and Tesla and Neuralink, he is of the opinion that we should increase the fertility precisely in the US to actually take care of the future prospects of the world. Now this particular population control measure in UP is seen, and there is an important debate over how these coercive measures can be efficient or not to control the population in India. This is an important article of the Hindustan Times. Then the case study. Now Sheri Shikshan initiative was actually seen in Gujarat. Now, what is this initiative about? It is an initiative regarding the open classes. Now, we have seen, for example, the attendance of the students and the students in the schools was not that much. There was, because of the COVID-19 lockdown, there was a shift from offline classes to online classes, and the students barely understand what is happening in the online classes. And there is again a digital divide as well in India, in which most of the students in the rural India precisely do not have smartphones, do not have laptops, and it becomes a very difficult task to impart knowledge and education to these particular students who are actually on the other side of the digital divide. So because of these students, to increase the attendance, to actually give them better understanding than the online medium, and to actually remove this digital divide, we have in place the open classes, in which the teachers came in and took those students that were left out of the virtual learning platforms, and started teaching them in public parks, in temple complexes, and gave them the knowledge they required. And this has actually improved their attendance by 75%. It has only made them better understand the subjects as well. It had a better learning outcome as well, and they do not need any laptops and smartphones for that. Now, what were the hurdles faced by the teachers? The first important hurdle was resistance from the parents. Why? Because parents resisted from sending their children to these open places, and they prefer schools to these open spaces. Another concern was for the girl child, and they were concerned about the girl child's safety, about sending their daughters to these public places. Now, this is an important Sheri Shikshan Abhiyan regarding the open classes as part of Gujarat's this street education initiative. Now, this is all about this particular Gazette discussion. I thank you, all of you. Please share the video and subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon. Thank you so much, guys. God bless you. Bye-bye.